Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gershwin, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about alien species during the Great Crusade as we get into the Bone Drinkers, or the Akhereth. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K content every single day, and if you have any suggestions, just comment down below. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Bone Drinkers. One of the earliest campaigns of the Alpha Legion involves the xenocide of the alien form known as the Akhereth, or the Bone Drinkers. These fungoid, predatory, and parasitic life forms acquired their sentience from operating as physically interwoven gestalt blooms. Their existence was fueled by the slow and agonizingly painful siphoning of nutrition from living animals, primarily human bone marrow. Given no technological creativity of their own, the Bone Drinkers operated at the edge of the western segmentum solar. They inhabited the scavenged void ships of other starfaring species, and raided isolated colonies and feral worlds unable to resist their plague. Initially encountered in the early years of the Great Crusade, the Bone Drinkers had been subjected to extermination protocols carried out by both the Luna Wolves and the Night Lords, which had been thought to have been successful. However, this cowardly species had been forced to flee, if not cornered in battle, and over time it became apparent that some marrow blooms of the foul Xenos had hidden themselves and survived. By the late 30th millennium, reports of attacks against isolated outposts and shippings in the regions of the stellar wastes near Olmec indicated that the Bone Drinkers were again dangerously growing in strength and number. The Alpha Legion, only a handful of years previously united with their Primarch, were assigned the order of the xenocide of the species before it could spread any further. Alpharius and his Legion's solution to the problem was both calculated in its planning and ruthless in its execution. Firstly, they divided much of their fleet into hunter-killer squadrons to hunt down the Bone Drinkers' infested void ships across the wastes, using their predatory instincts for ambush and evasion to identify places that the Xenos would be hiding in wait or fleeing to escape pursuit. Secondly, they analyzed previous patterns of infestation and attack, and quickly reasoned that in their terror, some had given themselves over to the alien species' dominion, providing them with the tribute of living sacrifices, while in others, in return for being spared or perhaps for gain, the Xenos had human aids in plotting their attack, such covert corruption having protected them from the Imperium's eye for several decades. This large communion the Alpha Legion used to their own advantage, infiltrating the conspiracy with their own agents, gathering intelligence, and luring the largest concentration of this parasitic marrow bloom to their death in prearranged traps, slaying the rest in close border action of their infested ships, or by the mass cyclonic bombardment of their concentrated breeding nests. The punishment for those worlds that had aided the alien were similarly brutal, as their rulers were put to the sword for their crimes, the colonies themselves punished by the poisoning of their water supplies, or the destabilization of their climate or seismic patterns. Inside of 3 solar years, the Bone Drinkers had been once again hunted down to the brink of extinction, but analysis indicated that some would have fled into hiding, and inevitably the threat had to be ended. In order to fully eradicate the Bone Drinkers, the Alpha Legion worked with cooperation with the Magos biologists of the Mechanicum to create a deadly phage to help annihilate this alien menace once and for all. The Alpha Legion insidiously deployed their virus upon the worlds of which the Bone Drinkers had preyed, the humans that populated these worlds, and the Voidborn who plied the stars between those planets were infected with the virus. In the human population, the malignancy rate of this virus was as little as 7%, but to the Bone Drinkers that might feed on them, or the generations born of them in the centuries to come, it was outright lethal. Alpharius had won the ultimate victory against the Xenos by poisoning their food supply, mankind. And those were 40 facts on the Bone Drinkers. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, share it with your friends on Facebook or Reddit. It helps out the channel when you do so. Now, originally, I set out to create a lore video based around the Alpha Legion and all of their tactics during the Great Crusade, because the Alpha Legion's background is really interesting. They are not like the other Space Marine Legions the way they fought was completely different than all the other Space Marine Legions, even way more different than the Raven Guard. Whenever you think of like sneaky space marines, you think of the Raven Guard, but the Alpha Legion is something completely different, and I wanted to talk about that, but then I came across this awesome lore on the Bone Drinkers, and I had never heard of the Bone Drinkers. I've heard of Xeno races that use like parasitic powers to control humans, but they've always been through like psychic means. There was a species that we talked about, or a Xeno species that we talked about a while back, that would psychically control humans, and humans would attack the Imperium. But this idea of like being a parasite and being inside of the human mind is extremely sci-fi, something that you don't really get unless you specifically look at like the Necron race, or really it's just the Necron race that is like truly sci-fi. Everything else is sci-fi fantasy in 40K, because when you think of 40K, the element of the warp always plays a huge part. Specifically when it comes to every other race except the Necrons, even the Admech. We've been talking about the Adeptus Mechanicus the past couple days. You would think that they would be sci-fi, but they're really not. The machine spirit is something that has elements of like religion and fantasy and like sci-fi. There's like magic going on there. It's not necessarily true sci-fi. It's not like true science behind it. So when I heard about these Bone Drinkers, and I realized that this is like, realistically speaking, if humans were to venture outside of Earth, I think this is the type of alien life form we would find. They would be parasitic. They would be things that would infect humanity, make us sick, change us in certain ways, and it's just something that it's kind of refreshing to hear from 40K. Of course, this is coming from 30K, but it is one of those elements that I was like, I want to share this. I want to talk about this before I get to the Alpha Legion. Now, there will be an Alpha Legion video tomorrow with an Alpha Legion giveaway to go along with it. Today we don't have a giveaway, but you can still participate in yesterday's. We are doing the giveaway for a week. So if you want to win a Skitarii box set, you can jump on over to yesterday's video, 40 facts on the Styges 8 cohort. You can actually win a starter set for the Skitarii. You could just go back and comment. Actually, I would recommend that you go back and comment every single day, just to increase your chances of winning, and compete or whatever. And the last thing I wanted to do is recommend a YouTube channel for you guys to watch. The name of the YouTube channel is the individual's name, Benji Thomas. It's either him or a team, and they've been creating some really interesting content. The reason I recommend this channel is it's not a Warhammer 40K channel, but based on the comments that we've been getting, it seems that a lot of you guys watch our videos because you enjoy the mythology or the lore of Warhammer 40K. And recently, this individual started a series called The History of Speculative Zoology. It's really interesting because it talks about the what-if scenarios of what if evolution were to continue, and what would animals in the future look like. And that's kind of what Warhammer 40K is. So if you enjoy our Xeno species videos, if you enjoy our videos on warp whales and things like that, I think you're gonna find his content interesting. A lot of his videos are based on just science and biology, but he does have that series that I think you guys would enjoy watching, and his subscriber count is pretty small, so let's give him a boost. Jump on over, let him know that One Mind Syndicate sent you, and like I said, I'm going to put a link in the description for you to check out The History of Speculative Zoology. It's pretty entertaining. But thanks again, guys, for being subscribers. Thank you for the suggestions that you guys give us. Any more suggestions, just comment down below. Don't forget we have a Patreon, link down in the description below. So if you want to support us over there, it's just a simple $1 a month, and it helps us create more videos for you guys. If you can't, we understand. Simply by liking, commenting, and sharing, it helps out the channel. But with that said, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. This was Gersh1 with One Mind Syndicate signing out.
refuse to put my freedom first in any situation.